Racing and fashion have gone hand in hand for many years. Kash O'Hara, founder of the Style Doctor, has grown to love the industry through racewear. Join me as she gives me a tip or two about autumn racing fashion.
Well, Kash, it's great to have you on Women in Racing. It's a different look to Women in Racing this week. We're talking about fashion. When did your love of fashion start?
I've always had a love of fashion ever since I was a young girl. I've got 5 older brothers, so you wouldn't think that I would, but I've got a younger sister too. So my sister and I always stuck together and always had fashion parades at home, and I would raid my mum's wardrobe, and she had a big glory box which we would always raid. And we've always just had that love of fashion. I never got into it originally, but my sister did. So she studied a fashion degree at uni and then got into it. So I got into it that way. But I've always had it in me.
You have a business at the moment called the Style Doctor. Tell me a little bit about how you became a stylist.
When I left school, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. So I did a commerce degree and was in corporate first. But I always had that love of fashion. Even when I was in corporate, I remember going to Paddington Markets one day and I spoke to Neil Griggs, who had a store there, and I organised him to come into our workplace at lunchtime and sell his hats, because we always used to go to Melbourne Cup in Sydney, because we were based in Sydney, and we'd take the whole company to Melbourne Cup. So I organised him to come in. So I've always had that love of fashion, but I didn't get into it till a little bit later, and it came about because my sister and I, we were living in Kenya, of all places, at the time, doing some missionary work, and we couldn't go out at night. So what we did at night, because it was so dangerous, we'd stay in and we'd work on a business plan. And because she was in fashion, we decided that when we'd come back to Sydney, we'd start our own fashion label. So when we came back, we were broke. So we didn't start it straight away. She still worked in fashion, and I worked at Microsoft for a couple of years, and we did it on the side, and we just built up enough money, enough capital to go out on our own. So we had our own fashion label from 2007 up till 3 years ago. And so from having the label, I learnt a lot about, cuts, colours, styles, all about fashion, all about the design process, and that helped me with styling. So that's how I got into styling. So it was originally, pushing our own designs and dressing some celebrities, and then it got into more of designing photo shoots and things like that. And then when we wound up our design business, I got more into the styling and set up the Style Doctor 3.5 years ago.
And how did your love of fashion combine with racing?
I've loved racing because I love hats and I love millinery, and it's just another, it's an accessory that people don't get to wear often. You just feel special when you put a hat on, and whenever I see a woman put a hat on, even when I do millinery events, they put it on, they just smile. I think it just makes women happy. It's just another element to the look, which I love.
Clearly, from your love of millinery, have a huge passion with fashions on the field. How did that all start? And tell me about your first time you entered into it.
Because I was designing first, you weren't allowed to enter as a designer. They were the rules. I think it's a little bit more relaxed now. So we used to dress up some of our friends and put them in our own designs. But then, I did enter the Design Award in Melbourne. I've entered 3 times. So that was as a designer. And then when I got more into the styling and less designing, I could enter myself. So I did enter. But the first time I won it was 2 years ago, and I'll never forget that.
And that was 2017, and
Yes.
That was Autumn Carnival.
Correct, yeah.
What was that like?
It was amazing. It was because it's quite risky as a stylist to enter, because you're putting yourself out there to be judged. I mean, people do it anyway, but as a stylist, I think there's a little bit more pressure, because you should be looking good and you should be wearing things that really suit you and have that confidence. So I found it quite hard because I'm obviously not a model and not the best walker. But what I really love about the ATC now is it's a fashion shoot. So you get your photo taken rather than a full parade, which suits me better, and that's probably why I won. And it was just amazing. The prizes are incredible. So it was good to win. I won a trip overseas, which was amazing, and a Maya voucher and a Star City voucher. So yeah, there's so many prizes. So it was just incredible.
What's your advice to anyone who wants to enter into the fashion shoot?
My advice is, to choose something that really suits you. So obviously there's trends every season, but I always say to any of my clients, don't follow the trends if it doesn't suit you, or if you don't have the confidence to wear it, because that will show. So I always say, choose something to suit your shape and your colours, and then tie in a hat with the look. So if you're going for a really pretty look, sometimes a leather piece might be too heavy for the look. So try and stick to one kind of look, especially if you're starting out. If you've got a lot of confidence and you want to go all out, I'll never stop anyone. But I think choosing one look and sticking to that is always a good start.
How important do you think fashion is for racing?
I think it's really important because it just adds that extra bit of glamour to the races, and it brings all different types of people, and some people come just for the fashion, because people, they just love the fashion and they love seeing what other people wear.
How are we going to go without Winx? I mean, there's so many Winx-inspired outfits.
Winx is an amazing horse, and I've had a little bit of involvement through styling Christine Bowman, which has been amazing. She's lovely. So I've learnt a lot about what Huey does and all the training he does. So I've learnt more, about what jockeys do and that side. It'll be a shame, but gosh, she's still racing. So, who knows how many more wins she has in her.
How important is fashions on the field for men and women to express themselves in a fashion sense?
Well, it's fun. Like it's a way that people can, get dressed up. A lot of people that enter are accountants or lawyers or, they're from all different types of industries. Some are even, I know one girl that won Melbourne Cup last year, I think she was a miner, and she said she's always wearing, steel cut boots and high-vis vests and things like that. So it's a way that you can escape and get dressed up and feel good about yourself. And now it's less serious, I find, because you don't have to parade. So if you don't have the confidence to, stand up in front of people and parade, you go in and you take your photo. So, and even if you don't make it through, you get a great photo. And if you get in there early enough, you also get an illustration of your outfit. Alexandra Nia does a lot of the illustrations, and she's amazing. So it's quite, it's amazing to have, that whole day experience about getting dressed up and having those mementos.
There's particular days that there's a few rules.
Yes.
Derby Day, which is the first day of the championships, is traditionally black and white. How do we, don't just wear the black and white? How do we be a little bit different?
So with black and white, it's to stand out. It's about texture and it's about the design. So a look like this, this is a beautiful lace, and you could pair it back with a white skirt, which is quite a nice soft feminine look. But if you wanted to be more, adventurous, you could wear a black suit. Suits are really in this season, and you can add texture to your fabrics. So this has a metallic thread through it, which adds that texture. But houndstooth's really in, checks are really in. So adding that different element to your jacket or to your suit, and playing around with your fabrics. So black and white doesn't have to be boring. There's ways you can really stand out in black and white.
And the last day of the championships, of course, Queen Elizabeth Day, where we'll see Winx race. Yes. What do we do for fashion on that particular day?
Well, on that day you can wear anything really. Another big trend is, I'm calling it the couture cowboy, or cowgirl I should say. So a look like this with a pleated skirt and adding a shirt like this with the sleeve detail. A lot of designers are doing this sleeve detail. We've got Zimmermann doing that kind of look, that cowgirl look. Dior did a lot of pieces too, if you can afford it. But Zara too, and even this skirt is from Zara. So you don't always have to spend a lot of money on your look. And then another trend is, as I said, colour, and the 80s are back. But we're leaving the, really big shoulders to the 80s, and we're leaving the crimped hair to the 80s. What we are bringing is colour. So you could, and colour blocking too. So you could wear a pink and red piece together. So you could do a skirt or pants, and these bows again are in.
And what millinery would you wear with that? Because it's quite a powerful look. It's quite an out there look. Would you wear something a bit more tamed down, or would you really go out there?
A look like this, you have to be pretty confident. So I would wear this. I would wear this pink boda with a look like that, because you're already, you have to have confidence to wear this. So if you're going all out, you may as well go all out with colour. And also you can hire pieces now too, which is amazing. So a lot of these pieces you can hire from my website or my Instagram page. But Glam Corner you can hire from, Your Closet. There's all different places you can hire from, and even your millinery. So there's a millinery online market now that you can hire from, and even people in the industry hire out their own hats. So you just follow them on Instagram and hire them out that way.
So it's great. So someone who wants to get involved at being at the races, or not necessarily going in fashions on the field, how do they step into their first time at the races? What's your advice? I mean, they don't want to spend a lot of money. Where do they go to, and how do they build their look?
Well, look at what you've got in your wardrobe. If you've got, so for example, a dress like this is a dress that you could wear to so many different occasions. Look at what you've got. Even, some of your corporate looks, you could change it up. So I think most people would have, a white shirt and black pants. And these days, pants are really in at the races. It used to be quite controversial, but now you can wear pants. So something like this anyone would have, and you could just add a bow to that, or, add a more exciting hat, like a hat like this will just add a different element. So, you might already have this, and then you might hire out a hat, and you've got a whole look ready for the races.
Shoes are always a bit of a necessary evil, shall I say, at the races, because there's some gorgeous shoes. I mean, these black shoes come to mind.
Yes,
they're absolutely stunning. But how do we last in our shoes? A lot of the time we're in grass as well, on grass. So how do we last through the day?
Yeah, so I always advise, I don't think they're in there, but party feet are great. I usually have them in shoes ready to go, but party feet soften the blow on, wearing heels all day. But just be honest with yourself. If you're not very good in heels, there's nothing wrong with wearing a kitten heel or a lower inch heel. 8 centimetres or 7 centimetres. That will help you last the day, especially if you're doing a lot of walking. And I see a lot of women carry a little pair of flats with them and then change at the end of the day. And that's far better than taking your shoes off and carrying them out and looking a little bit messy at the end of the day.
In the country race meetings, they get involved in fashions on the field from what you've seen?
Yeah, they do, yeah. So I've judged Wagga fashions on the field before at the Gold Cup, and I've judged in Bathurst before, which was fun. And men too, but they put a lot into their looks, because the prizes for those big race days, prizes are great. So people, they just put that extra effort into their look, hoping that they'll win.
We've mentioned all the fashion do's, and we've mentioned one of the fashion don'ts. What are the others?
Think about the weather. So if it's pouring with rain, you don't want to wear, white suede shoes or something, because they'll get ruined. And also some of your head pieces, I wouldn't wear leather if it's pouring with rain either, because that softens the leather and ruins the hat. So you've got to think about those things too. But I mean, these days there's not too many don'ts in terms of fashion. As you can see, like colour now, pants, things like that. We're having more fun with fashion, especially at the races. But you will see it's still conservative, especially in autumn. You'll still see lots of longer sleeves, lots of higher necklines, longer hemlines. It's just a little bit more conservative.